What's up, every guy? What? I don't know what I'm saying. What's up, everyone? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I'm going to do a little recap of the Chris Rufo interview with Joy Reid, which, okay, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it because I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. You hear that? I'm just going to go a little shout out to Joy Reid for even having Chris Rufo on the show. Most liberals wouldn't even consider it. They would just be like, nah, I'm not going to give you, I'm just going to keep slandering your name, blah, blah, blah. So shout out to Joy Reid. But she didn't take it too well. Let's watch the interview. I haven't seen it yet. I just read that somebody said that she didn't allow him to talk much. This is a blind reaction with David, God, I'm losing it. With Derek O'Shea. I am literally losing it today. Pray for your independent podcasters.
You say that Ibram Kendi, Dr. Ibram Kendi, who's a college professor.
He's a college professor, so you need to listen to what he says. He knows what he's saying, so listen. He's a college professor. He's an expert, which, are you even an expert?
You call him the guru of critical race theory. So we reached out to him. I've interviewed him before, so we reached out to him because you say he's the guru of critical race theory. You name him a lot in a lot of...
You can always tell by the way they're talking, how nervous they are about an interview. And she's clearly nervous. She's not looking up. She's looking down. She's making sure she says these words correctly. She's also not engaging in her own thought immediately. She's going to another source to use another source for the conversation as opposed to... So he can't attack her. He can only attack Ibram Kendi. Both continue.
If you're both in your manifesto or your talking points memo, but also in your video. We reached out to him. We asked him if he's a critical race theorist. He said, I admire critical race theory, but I don't identify as a critical race theorist. I'm not a legal scholar, so I wasn't trained on critical race theory. I'm a historian. And Chris would know this if he actually read my work or understood that critical race theory is taught in law schools. I didn't attend law school, which is where critical race theory is taught. It's really the only place it's taught. NBC has looked into...
Oh, right, yeah. Critical race theory is the only place it's taught is law school. That's a lie. I'm currently getting my master's. I learned about it last year, and it was in my multicultural class, and I am not becoming a lawyer, FYI. So, yeah. But according to MSNBC, that's all it is.
Which is where critical race theory is taught. It's really the only place it's taught. NBC has looked into everywhere, and it's not taught in elementary school. But hold on a second. This is the second thing he...
MSNBC just lied. MSNBC has looked everywhere. No. It's everywhere.
He said, which... It's strange to me that you...
Let me respond. This is not a monologue. This should be a dialogue, right?
Right. No. I'm not done. I'm not done with my little page. My writers wrote for me, okay?
Am I right?
It's my show, so it's how I want to...
I'm speaking.
Do it. So let me read you one more quote from him, because you've made a lot of claims about critical race theory saying that white Americans are inherently racist.
Yes.
That racism is inherent to whiteness.
It's not necessarily that critical race theory says that. It's what leads you there. It's a progression of thought based on what they're proposing. It's not that it says that. It's an obvious... Okay, let's just keep watching.
And that is one of the core charges that you're making about, these sort of, what you consider like sort of woke studies in school. This is what Ibram Kendi has said in his own words. He said, we've been taught that racist is essential to who a person is. It's a fixed category. It's in someone's heart. That's one of the reasons.
I don't understand how people use Ibram X. Kendi as an authoritative source. When you read some of the things he says, you're like, this makes no logical sense. And then they'll push back and say, it's because you're racist. You just don't get it.
Why people are unwilling to or unable to admit the times in which they're being racist, because it's not just
just white people. Those are the only people that can be racist. I just want you to know that reverse racism isn't real. That's a figment of your imagination. I know if you've ever experienced racism as a white person, which I've had experienced lots of times in my life, that wasn't racism. That was just a hateful person. It's different. Only white people, when they're acting rude, are racist.
Admitting I was being racist in that moment. Basically, we're tattooing racist on our forehead for the rest of our lives. Isn't that the opposite of what you're arguing?
Well, I'll say two things. First of all, it's very interesting to me that so many people are now running away from the race of the label of critical race theory. But
he's not a critical race theorist.
Hold on. I'm going to...
They're running away from the label because they're losing the argument and losing the battle. They're like, this is a right-wing conspiracy.
Quote, two critical race theorists, Barbara Applebaum with the book Being Good, Being White. She says, quote, all white people are racist. Robin DiAngelo, who's another critical whiteness studies scholar, says that, quote,
nope.
all white identity is inherently racist.
She's not a critical race theorist, so I'm not going to argue with what that point you just said. You're mislabeling her. She's actually a racist.
So what you're doing is you're playing a series of word games.
No,
you know
yes.
that critical whiteness studies is a subfield of critical race theory?
No, it's not.
These things are all deeply interrelated.
No, they're not.
Do you see how smug Joy Reid looks right there? She thinks she's winning the argument, but anybody with a logical thinking brain knows that she's doing what a person that wants to win an argument but has no idea what they're talking about, and so they just start smiling and cutting you off and then saying, no, you said critical race. I'm not going to let you say that. I'm not going to let you say it. I'm not going to let you say it. I'm not going to, and you're like, are you not listening to anything else I'm saying?
They're not.
And I'm not going to let you play word games. And this is really, I think, the most essential thing.
Hold on. No.
Let me respond at least once. I haven't gotten a full sentence out.
Because I'm not going to let you see. One of the things that and I don't know, you probably never watched me on TV. Just we didn't know who each other were, not so long ago. But I don't allow people to just make up and say lies on the show. It's just not really right to do that and let people hear. But hold on,
but
Robin DiAngelo.
Wait. Am I right
Robin
or wrong?
DiAngelo is not a critical race theorist, and I want everyone to know that. Robin DiAngelo. I don't know who the other.
Okay, you don't even need to have the argument that she's clearly a racist.
But she's not. But let's just go through a minute, because whiteness, and racist. Whiteness and racist. Sure. Where did the term whiteness come from?
You.
Sure, and I think this is an important point, and I hope you let me actually get a full paragraph out about this.
Go for it.
Whiteness is the idea that there is some kind of metaphysical category in the world, that all white people are reducible to this essence of whiteness. Then what happens is that they load all of these negative connotations. They say that whiteness is, by definition, that includes white fragility.
Do you see how she's not even listening to him? And she's like, that's a very powerful move to move papers and stuff like that. It's basically, I'm dismissing literally everything you're saying, and I'm not listening to you, but I'll let you say your little jargon, okay? You can come on. This is my show. I'm Joy Reid. Ever heard of it? Okay. You're on my show. Okay. I'm speaking.
Includes white privilege, includes internalized white superiority. And then what they do is they try to impose these reductive racial categories onto individuals.
Yes.
And I actually agree with Kendi's approach. I think that we should fight race essentialism. But the problem is that critical race theory enshrines race essentialism.
But you see it in
schools. And I'll give you 3 examples of critical race theory being taught in schools.
Hold on one second.
In Cupertino, California.
These are in your talking points, sir. Chris, these are in your talking points, and I know what you're going to say because you said it with Mark Lamont Hill. You repeat these same things. They're in this manifesto. People can read it online. Let me just go for a second. On the subject of whiteness, are you aware, since you say that, I guess you're sort of a quasi-historian in your thinking.
He's like, I'm trying to be a good person right now. I don't want to lose my mind, but I'm doing my best.
That whiteness was actually formed in the United States. That whiteness didn't even exist as a thing. Europeans were all European. They considered themselves Italian or Polish or whatever. When the colonists came here, they actually created the idea of whiteness. This is from the Smithsonian.
I agree with
as
that.
a way to distinguish themselves from what they call the savages, the natives, and from black people, from Africans, who even if you had a little African in you, if you're Plessy, who's 7/8 white, if you are African in any aspect, that you are reduced of rights. So people that you don't like, that are doing this sort of wokeness training, are saying whiteness has always had power. There used to be a saying, I'm free white and 18. It was commonly said in the 50s and 60s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So whiteness has power. So people who want to decouple whiteness from power, that's what you're annoyed by, right? Let me play a little bit of what you said.
Oh, my God.
You did a speech. Hold on. You did a speech.
Why don't you let him talk?
At the Claremont Institute, in which you talked a little bit about how you really feel about the academics of it. Here it is. I
don't know why people come on these shows.
I think this is it 3? Yeah, go for it. Play it.
Hold on, there's an ad coming from. I can't stand cable news for this reason. There's no conversation. It's just gotcha moments. That's all it is. It's all gotcha moments and little jokey laughs here and there.
I'm a white guy fighting critical race theory.
Do you identify as white?
I mean, I'm an Italian American, so you tell me. Lumping people into white, black, Asian, as you suggested, is such a crude and broad categorization.
Don't you love, instead of actually having a conversation with him, she just plays clips?
There's these like very kind of pathetic and very, angry graduate students that try to fight me on these highly technical, Hegel interpretations. And it's like, I don't have time for this. I don't give a about this stuff.
So you don't give an S about this stuff. You're really just having a campaign.
Oh my God, what a freaking clip.
So you essentially don't care about any of this. You're just making this stuff up as you go.
What could be going on in your head right now?
To take everything that annoys white Americans and white conservatives.
No,
Hold
that's
on.
not right.
You
No.
want to make a campaign.
Oh my God, typical news. Taking things out of context, as always.
Stuff
You
everything
played
in
my
there that
highlight
people
reel.
annoy-
You played my
people that
highlight
get
reel. Give me a
annoyed,
chance to respond.
And you
no,
want
that's
to
absolutely
stuff
wrong.
it all into critical race theory, right?
What I don't think is right is that forcing 8-year-olds in Cupertino, California to deconstruct their racial identities
That's
and then
not
rank
critical race
themselves
theory.
according to power and privilege.
No, it is.
It's intersectionality theory, which was invented
That's
by Kimberly
intersectionality.
Crenshaw.
It's a separate thing.
Which is part
Intersectionality
of
is a
critical
separate
race
thing.
theory.
No, it's
You-
not, dear.
You had her on your
It's not.
show. You know this.
Yeah, she
And
invented
here's
both
the bottom
things.
line, Joy.
She
What
invented
you've
both
done
things.
in tonight's segment
She's
is
in-
exactly what
one
I'm
more
fighting
thing.
against. I'm fighting
No.
against the manipulation of language.
you.
I'm
Thank
fighting
you.
Right,
against
you're
language
fighting against
deconstruction.
wokeness, and you
I'm
don't
trying
like
to basically
corporate
load
wokeness,
all of
etc.
these
I get it.
euphemistic
I get it.
terms with
Right.
subversive content. Because otherwise you just say whatever you want and then you back away from it and you dance around it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Parents all over this country, they know
hold
what's
on.
happening in schools.
One
They know
second,
what's
Chris.
happening in their public institutions. And you're seeing people revolt against this
She's so smug. It's so gross.
Yes.
divisive identity politics. And you can dance all you want,
No.
but you're not going to stop
I'm
people
not
from
dancing.
understanding what's happening in
I'm not dancing. I'm just playing clips out of context.
their classrooms.
I actually appreciate that you said that, because Christopher, what you basically, and you admit it yourself, that you've
you don't
taken
get-
all of these sort of wokeness moments, corporate wokeness, but corporate sort of woke money, woke capital, the things that annoy conservatives, and you've stuffed it
my
all
God.
into the name critical
Yes, all these conservatives that are against racism, that's the problem.
race theory. It's really like it's like Christopher Rufo theory. You stuffed it all in. Here's what
my
you said.
God.
You tweeted this. The activist.
listen,
hold on one
Christopher
second.
Rufo's
I'm going to
theory
read you
sounds
to
fantastic.
you, and then you can respond to it. I'm going to read you to you, and then you respond to it.
It is.
The activists are realizing that their ideas, once put into practice, are generating discontent, which is you just described. Their racial
think that's
coalition
true.
is also breaking apart. Asian Americans, in particular, revolting against CRT, which is really Christopher Rufo theory because you made it up, is punishing them more than any other group.
Jeez.
Then you said we have successfully frozen their brand, critical race theory, into the public conversation and are steadily driving up negative perceptions. We will eventually turn it toxic as we put all the various cultural insanities
her
under
voice.
that brand category. The goal is to
Voice
have the
says
public
everything.
read something crazy in the newspaper and immediately think critical race theory. We have decodified the term and will recodify it to annex the entire range of cultural constructions that are unpopular with Americans. Aren't you just taking wokeness stuff that annoys you and calling it critical race theory?
No, not at all. The idea of the codification and decodification of language comes from the critical pedagogist Paulo Freire.
Codification? She's like, I don't know what that word means.
And my strategy is to take
now
these...
you're doing pedagogy, Christopher?
Yes.
Come
To
on.
take these techniques and use them against their own ideology. And I'll tell you, Joy, my strategy has been enormously successful. According to the Economist
among conservatives.
magazine poll, 64% of Americans now
gosh,
know what
she's
critical
the
race theory
worst.
is.
No, they know what Christopher Rufo theory is.
Of which
They know what
58% of them
You
think
made
that
up your own
view
thing,
it.
bro. You made, my friend, you made up your own thing.
is the
You
worst.
admitted
Let
you were
me
going to
finish
do
one
it. And I'm going
sentence.
to give you credit for one thing. You did create your own thing. Not a lot of guys in their
Oh
30s
my
have created their
gosh.
own thing, labeled it something that
How dare you? A lot of guys in their 30s have created their own thing.
already existed as a name, slapped that brand name on it, and turned it into a successful political strategy. You've done that. It's creating a lot of hell at school board meetings, but you did accomplish that. So, Christopher Rufo, thank you, man. Thank you for being here.
Well,
Really
Joy, I
appreciate you.
appreciate it, and I'll give you the position as the most prestigious Christopher Rufo theory scholar in the world. I hope
Christopher-
next time You give me at least a chance to complete 2 sentences. I think it'd be a lot more fun.
Well, not if you're going to do
try
talking
again
points.
next time.
They were your talking
we'll try
points, so
again.
people can read your talking points online because they're online as well. You can read all of them. Thank you very much.
Dear God. I don't. Can people just stop watching cable news forever and only watch independent news journalists and podcasts that actually have conversations? Why do people even come to these shows anymore? It's just exhausting. That wasn't very helpful in any sense of the means, and she just looked so smug and annoyed and was taking clips out of context, didn't allow them to talk, and obviously doesn't want to have a conversation about this stuff because she thinks it's total bullcrap. And so based on her reaction, instead of actually taking some of his arguments seriously or his thoughts seriously, she just dismissed everything he said and didn't allow him to have a word in. And says a lot about her character and says a lot about her position on critical race theory as a whole. She is afraid to have a conversation about it. She wants you just to accept it based on faith value, and that's it. And that's where we're at. Hooray for everyone. Thanks, guys, so much for watching the show. I hope you have a fantastic day. And as always, I'll see you on the next episode of the Derek O. Show.